Hi there, my name is Chris Adams, president of smadatek, and in this video I'm going to take you through about how to fill out a cybersecurity insurance policy. Now here's the deal, I don't know if you need one, but a lot of people are paying for them. I get it, but here's the thing you have to understand about cybersecurity policies. And I'm going to go through these 2-page questions. I'm going to go question by question. I'm also going to reference a video that I did earlier on how much cybersecurity should cost and really what a cybersecurity network security stack looks like. There are 15 points that we cover in that. And what I'm going to do in this video is, so go back and reference that one. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to go through each of these questions and then I'm going to reference the number back to this about how it's covered. So this is really powerful. Now here's the deal. You got Beasley, you got Chubb, you got Liberty, you got Nationwide, you got Hartford. I mean, there are all kinds of the people that are doing cyber insurance policy. I'm not the expert in that. But I will tell you that they're asking a lot of the same questions, right? This one actually just happens to be from Beasley. It just came from one of our customers. We're fine with them sending them in to us and then we fill them out. But we go through this cybersecurity stack. So let's just start at the top, okay? This is a ransomware supplemental application. The first section is email security, okay? First question is, do you pre-screen emails for potentially malicious attachments and links? The question is yes, from number 7, which is our professional spam filtering. A little context behind that. Listen, if you're using Office 365, you're using Google Workspace, the free browser, or the free spam filtering just is not enough. You need to be using a professional spam filter. Question number 2, do you provide a quarantine service to your users, right? Kind of the tech term is a sandbox. In other words, do we have an environment where we can put the email in and then open it up without any of the bad stuff happening? The answer is yes, and that from number 7, which is also our professional spam filter. And we use Spambrella, right? There are a lot of them out there. I don't have any experience with them. I just know that Spambrella is what we use in our organization, and we chew our own dog food around here, and what we recommend to our customers. Okay, number 3, do you have the capability to automatically detonate and evaluate attachments in a sandbox to determine if malicious prior to delivery to the end user, right? And that's kind of back to question number 2. That's done with our Spambrella professional spam filter. Number 7. Question number 4, do you strictly enforce sender SPF or sender policy framework on incoming emails? The answer is yes. That is done at the MX level, right? That's done at the domain register level. That's not really a program. That is just kind of best practices. But here's the deal, the SPF records is what says, okay, Mr. Sender, you're authenticated, registered out there in the world, so you're authenticated and you're legit. I'm not going to go into all the details, but we do know of a lot of companies that are not using SPF framework. Okay, if you have a question about that, ask your IT guy. Number 5, how often is phishing training conducted to all staff, e.g. monthly, quarterly, or annually? Okay, I talk about customer education in my video. That's number 14. You need to be spending at least an hour monthly or quarterly about phishing emails. Employee education is the most powerful thing that you can do, and it's the most overlooked, and quite frankly, it's the easiest thing that you can do. Office 365, there are programs out there that you can sign up and register for to actually simulate phishing campaigns, right? And we found those to be very effective. And kind of as a policy and as a side note, you can start off monthly, and then as your staff gets more educated, then you can just roll them back to quarterly. But you got to be doing it. Things are changing so much, right? So that's powerful. Number 6, can your users access email through a web app on a non-corporate device? That non-corporate device is either going to be a laptop, it's going to be an iPad, or it's going to be your phone, right? The answer to that is typically going to be yes. If yes, right? This is the kicker. Do you enforce multi-factor authentication, MFA? MFA is the same as two-factor authentication. And that is covered in number 5, which is the MFA 2FA. If you're using Office 365 or Google Workspace, you absolutely, positively, at a minimum, have to be using multi-factor authentication. Here's what's crazy. That's free. There's no charge for that, right? They're built in. They're baked in to that platform. Okay, number 7. Speaking of Office 365, number 7 is, do you use Office 365 in your organization? Let me just say this bluntly. We see more phishing emails coming through Office 365 than we do coming through Google. I'm not going to get into the technicalities about why that is, but it's true, and we see it. It's about 75% Office 365 and about 25% Google Workspace that we see in across our customers, and it's absolutely positively true. Now, here's the part B of that question. If yes, do you use Office 365 Advanced Threat Protection, right? ATP, as an add-on? Okay, what is that? That basically is their professional spam filter. Okay, they want you to buy their professional spam filter to protect them, the Office 365 account. Okay, that's fine. We don't use ATP. We use third party. I'm not going to go into why. I'm not going to talk about conspiracy theories, whatever it is, but we use Sprayumbrella. Now, just case in point, what does that cost? Sprayumbrella is about $2.75 to $3 per inbox. Okay? So that covers email security. Next is internal security. Number 8, do you use an endpoint protection, EPP, product across your enterprise? What is EPP? Endpoint protection is another fancy way of saying antivirus, right? Do you have a professional, not free, but a paid professional managed or antivirus solution, such as ESET, Bitdefender, F-Secure, what am I missing here? Kaspersky. There's a lot of them out there, but you have to be using professional endpoint protection or detection, EDR, EPP is what they call it. All right, number 9. This is a little bit more technical. Do you use an endpoint detection and response, EDR, product across your enterprise? The question is what is EDR? EDR is basically managed antivirus, right? Just bear with me here because you need to understand this. Managed antivirus is protecting you against known threats, right? EDR is actually protecting you not against known threats, but certain things that are going on in the file system, right? Encryption, right? A really good EDR system will put a phony Excel and a phony Word and a phony PDF file on your computer, and if it gets triggered with encryption, it sends a response back that says, listen, something's going on in this computer, and it shuts the computer off and isolates it. It's a really powerful system to make that happen. So most people are not using an EDR service. We use an EDR service. We use Huntress, and it seems to be working really well. But it does have a cost. Huntress is somewhere between $2 and $5 per endpoint, but it's looking for different things, right? So I would say most people will say no to that, but in our case, our users, we can say yes to that. Here's another interesting, number 10, do you use MFA to protect privileged user accounts? Okay, that's number 5 and number 6. Number 5 is MFA and 2FA, which we talked about before, and then it's also number 6, which is geofencing. Geofencing is a way for us to restrict access to our online applications to the IP address in our office, right? That's why static IPs are important. You need to have a static IP in a business environment. So case in point, there's a program out there in the healthcare industry called eClinicalWorks, ECW. For our healthcare customers that are using it, we tell ECW, hey, listen, I don't care if you have our credentials. If someone is trying to access our online account with our username and password from this IP address, which is not known and not whitelisted, they can't access that in, right? So what do? We make sure that our healthcare workers have a VPN. They VPN into the network so then they can access the ECW, right? So it's just another protection, but that is really powerful. Number 11 is a hardened baseline configuration materially rolled out across servers, laptops, desktops, and managed mobile devices. Okay, that's just based on policy. All right, that's really what you sit down and what you want to harden your devices with. Number 12, what percentage of the enterprise is covered by your scheduled vulnerability scans? Okay, so that's number 4, which is managed antivirus. We run managed antivirus depending on what we want to do. Minimum one every 24 hours, and we do it, after hours. It goes out, it updates the database, and then it runs and looks for any nasty stuff. The other thing is it's number 11, which is the EDR endpoint and response service, right? So those work hand in hand. So we got 2 answers to that, 100%. Number 13, in what time frame do you install critical and high severity patches across your enterprise? Okay, most people are going to say they don't know to this, and the reason is that we have taken servers out of our office environments. One of the things that most people don't understand about servers are they provide a really powerful security tool in Active Directory and group policy, and I'm not going to get into that, but you don't have a way to manage that policy unless you are using a third party. We use Ninja for our non-server customers, which allows us to write the scripts, or you have a server that has the ability to write the group policy that manages that. If you're not using 2 of those, you can't answer that question. The answer is no, right? You're not doing that, right? And I guess you might be able to get around it if Windows is doing, the update, but there's also other patches and whatnot. So that's 14. Number 15, have you configured host-based and network firewalls to disallow in-band connections by default? Okay, that's number 1. That's what a firewall does. It's different than a modem, it's different than a router, it's different than a Wi-Fi router. You have to have a firewall. Now here's the deal with the firewall. The firewall cannot have any ports open. You can't be doing in port 40, right? You can't have RDP open. You can't have any of that stuff. There should be no remote access. That's what this question is talking about. Have you configured host-based and network firewalls to disallow inbound connections? Yes, absolutely, right? And it's number 1 and that's best practices. Number 16, this is another one that most people don't talk about. Do you use a protective DNS service? For example, Quad 9, OpenDNS, or the public sector PDNS. There's OpenDNS, which is now Cisco umbrella, and there's also Cloudflare. We use Cloudflare. If you're just using the DNS from your provider, like your ISP, that's not this. The answer is no. If you're using Google DNS or Apple DNS, the answer is no. Those professional services that they're talking about here have some built-in filters that filter out the nastiness, right? It's just one more layer of protection, right? So that's what number 15 is. 16. Number 17. Do you use an endpoint application isolation and containment technology? The answer for us is yes, which is number 11, which is the EDR. So if you're using an EDR system, you're getting answers, yes answers to a lot of the some additional questions. Number 18, do your users have local admin rights on their laptop and desktop? Okay, that's policy based. We can manage that through group policy, through Active Directory. Here's the deal. You absolutely positively have to be creating 2 accounts, an admin account and a user account on all your desktops and all your laptops. Depending on what happens, we believe, and our policy is, that we do not give admin rights on employee accounts. It's really hard to do when there's no domain controller and no group policy, but it's terrible, right? You need to have 2 accounts. I get it that they need to access the downloads and this and that, but if you give them carte blanche it really opens that user account up to a lot of ransomware vulnerabilities. Okay. That's 18. Number 19, can users run MS Office macro-enabled documents on their systems by default? Isn't it crazy the questions that they're asking? So what does that mean? Well, if you're not using GPO through Active Directory through a server, or you're using a third-party tool like us, Ninja, which is an RMM tool, the answer to that is yes, because you have no way to turn it off unless you go in and manually do it. Most people don't know exactly what that is, but macros on Office products are a significant security threat. Okay, working through here. Sorry, but this is the application. This is what they're asking. I think they're good questions. Number 20, do you provide your users with a password manager software? Right, we talked about that in number 8. You can't allow users, employees, to save passwords in Chrome, Edge, Firefox. That needs to be turned off, and they need to be using a password manager. They need to have a unique passphrase, 12 characters minimum, for every unique login. Okay? The human brain can't keep track of all that, right? And you shouldn't burden your employees with doing that. That's just my personal opinion, but I do know that the employees that we actually give them a password manager are 100% relieved, because they don't have to create passwords anymore, and they just let the tool take care of that. Okay, that's 21. Do you manage privileged accounts using tooling like e.g. CyberArk? The answer for us is no, and I think we're still waiting for some clarity about exactly what that even means, and we haven't got that feedback yet, but that's really a no. Number 22, do you have a security operations center established either in-house or outsourced? For our customers, the answer is yes, because that's what we do, but we also get that through number 11, right, with the EDR. Now here's what's cool about the EDR service. Huntress is what we use. Every time that there's something that triggers inside the computer, it actually sends a response to us, but it also sends a response out to the security team that is actually monitoring it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we have another layer of humans monitoring from a security standpoint. So that becomes really powerful. Okay, that is it for internal security. The next section is, we've got 5 questions here, and then we're done. Backup and recovery policies, right? Really powerful. Are your backups encrypted? Okay. If you're using a good on-site backup, we use Synology. The answer is yes. If you don't have a backup solution, obviously the answer is no. Maybe you have a backup solution and you don't know whether or not they're encrypted. You need to have an on-site backup solution along with a ransomware protection, which is a read-only read-only system, because backups are read-write, right? If it's read-write, it can be encrypted. What we use is some technology from Synology that actually does snapshots, which are read-only. There's no write to them, so they're not subject to ransomware encryption. Okay, that's a little pro tip. So number 10, are your backups encrypted? Number 24, are your backups kept separate from your network, offline, or in a cloud service designed for this purpose? Okay, this is really policy based on what you're doing. Like I said, for the answer for 23, we use Synology, we use snapshots. We want to keep the backups local and we protect them. Anytime that we have to send data, large amounts of data out to the internet, there's all kinds of things that from corruption that can happen, and it's just not reliable. And we're speaking from experience. Number 25, do you use a cloud syncing service like Dropbox, OneDrive, SharePoint, Google Drive for backups? That's policy. We don't use those services. We prefer to control our backups using Synology. So that's a simple answer there. Number 26, have you tested the successful restoration and recovery of key server configurations and data from backups in the last 6 months? That's just policy. Some of our customers want us to do that. Some of our customers don't want us to do that. So it's a simple yes or no. 27, are you able to test the integrity of backups prior to restoration to be confident it is free of malware? The answer for us is yes. Well, if they're using our backup solution, which is number 10, which is on-site backup, which is tied back to cybersecurity. Okay, that is that's the end of it, right? That's, I don't even know how long we've been talking, but that basically covers all of this stuff there. Here's what you need to understand about cybersecurity insurance. There are a lot of people taking those policies out. But here's the deal. If you get hit with ransomware, right, and the computer that gets hit with ransomware, or the user that gets hit with some sort of phishing email, doesn't have multi-factor authentication enabled, you've opened yourself up for not being covered, right? Does that make sense? Or you're not adequately doing backups, right? If you go through and you lie on this policy, the thing with computers and technology and the internet, right? There's always these timestamps. There's always these forensics. There's always these, what do they call them, breadcrumbs, right? They can go in and they can look to see exactly, to a pretty good degree, about what's going on. They don't want to just be paying out anything, right? So my point is this: you can't just take out a cybersecurity insurance policy to bypass doing what you really need to be doing from network security and cybersecurity, right? You can't just pay $3,000 and not take care of this other stuff, because they won't pay out. And we've heard about all kinds of fights with that. It's just the nature of an insurance company is they're going to deny the claim first, right? And then you've got to go back and fight it and prove to them that you're doing all this other stuff. Okay, I hope that was informative. I know it's long, but here's the deal. Ransomware is a real deal. Email is the cyber criminal's choice of weapon. And we got to make sure that we don't have one thing. It's just not one thing. If there's one thing I could tell business owners and executives, it's not one thing, it's multiple things. In the industry, we call it a stack, right? What is your network security stack? And it's all of these things, right? So go check out my other video if you want a comprehensive. I talk about on each of the 15 items, I talk about some good vendors, some manufacturers, and kind of what the pricing is. So go check out that video, and I hope this helps. Thanks.